I am Neeshuh Williams, and I will be your hostess for Conversations today. And I have with me Miss Amy Hord and my mother, Zelma Williams, and they're here to talk about a host of issues. So I'm going to throw it to my mom first, and she's going to give us some insight on my growing up and things like that, and what she did and did not allow in our household, which molded me into the young lady I am today.
Hi, I'm Zelma Williams, and as Neeshuh Williams stated previously, I am her mother. Growing up, I did not allow my kids to do a whole lot of things. First and foremost, being a single parent, you have to watch your kids extra closely. There's just certain things you're just not going to allow your kids to do. For me, education is a big thing, and it was a big thing with my kids growing up. If they didn't get their education, they wasn't allowed to play sports. They were grounded. They got whoopings. They got pretty much everything taken away from them until they did like they were supposed to, because when you're talking education, they're trying to get to where the teachers are. They have their education. They're trying to teach you and help you grow as an individual, so you need to pay attention while you're in school. And too many times as single parents, we want to just be our kids' friends. We don't want to be the actual parent. My kids were not allowed to tell me what they was and was not going to do. My kids were not allowed to just throw temper tantrums. I'm not that type of mother because I'm a firm believer wherever you act up at, that's where you were going to get a spanking at. It didn't matter if it was the grocery store, the department store, even at school. My daughter will testify that I have gone to the school with my son and with her, and I've taken them in the principal office and gave them paddlings at school. I've embarrassed them in front of their friends. So I'm that type of parent. Don't act up with me, because all I'm asking you to do is go to school, get an education. I work, I take care of everything else. Your job is to go to school and get an education.
And Miss Amy, I'm going to throw you the same question.
Okay. All right. Well, I was a single mother for 8 years before I met my husband. And so I think that the pressure for single mothers it's really interesting, because if a child makes a mistake or anything, you're just much more under the microscope, I feel like, as a single mom and the child of a single mom. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to get punted to as much as the dad and where's he at and all of this, or those kind of things. I was very fortunate that my son's father and I co-parented well together, and continue to till this day that he's 27. And so I was fortunate that way, but still felt the majority of the pressure. And the reason that I think that I finished school, that I was really motivated to. I took a job one time that I knew I didn't want to take, but I took it because it was a pay increase that would afford the opportunity for my son and I to have a house. And it just opened up different opportunities for us. So being a single mother actually really drove me to do things that I might not have done if I hadn't been, because if it was just up to me, I didn't really have much in the way of esteem or confidence or things like that. But with the pressure of being a single mother, I felt much more obligated to do right by my son and create a better life for him.
Now, looking back, my next question will be, looking back, do you think that any of your decisions have kind of shaped or molded the way that your children go, or the things that they've had to endure based off of decisions that you've made? Mom, you can go first, please.
I would say yes. Growing up, it was 6 of us, and my mom was very strict, so there was a lot of things that we didn't get to do. But as I became a parent, I didn't want the same restrictions on my kids. So I raised my kids to be able to come to me and talk to me about anything, no matter what it was. Even if they thought they were going to get in trouble, I wanted them to come to me and talk to me. And I just feel like that in instilling that in my kids, that I have a really good relationship with both of my kids, because they know that they can come to me and talk to me about anything. And then the other thing is, I have stressed and just tried to live that life before them, with God being first. And as I look back now, my kids will tell me now that some of the stuff that I told them growing up, they didn't understand, but they understand now. And I just want them to know that no matter what happens in life, you can always go to God. He's always there. If they can't get a hold of me for any reason, he's always there. Because I can't always be there, but he's always there to protect them. But I'm always going to be there in their corner to support them in whatever endeavor they choose to take on.
And Miss Hord, would you please answer that question as well?
Yeah, I think that things that I look back and growing up, and I had wonderful parents, but things that were either things that I felt like maybe I missed or that were really, really great, both ways that I wanted to provide for my kids. So my dad was a good provider and always took us on vacation every year, and that was important to me. So to have that time together as a family, that you don't have the distractions, and so that's always been something important to me. But I didn't grow up in going to church. The bus would come, and my sister and my brother and I would go to church, and it was kind of that, but it was somewhat limited. And so it was always really important to me to instill faith in my children, because I saw what a big role it played in my life. And so that was really important for me to have my children involved in church and to see that as a supportive outlet, that kind of like she said, is if they don't feel like they can come to me, or if I'm not available, that they've got that outlet of support. And then at a bigger level, for us as believers, to have them to be able to lean on God and to seek that out on their own without my nudging. And that's like the greatest satisfaction for me, is to see my kids grow in that way. I would love to have seen them become readers. I only have one child that loves to read, and it breaks my heart because I'm such a reader and love that. But it's really also, I think, that unconditional that was given to me from my parents, that no matter what you do, no matter how much you mess up, you always have a place to go, and you're always going to be loved. And so, and that's something that I always want my kids to know. And kind of like your mom said, that it may be something that you might get in trouble for, and it's funny, I had this conversation today with my husband, that I always want to be able to be poised in a way that they feel like they can come to me, and that I'm not going to freak out. And I mean, that does often happen, but I try to do my best to make an environment where they feel like they can talk to me.
I can speak from experience with that, because growing up, like, say if we got a bad grade or something and we tried to like lie and say, oh, we didn't get report cards this week, like my mom would be like, well, I want to hear from you that you got a bad grade. I don't want to see it on your report card. Like, I had gotten a bad grade and I was just tore up about it. I was like, Mom, I'm not the greatest at math, and I'll tell anybody that. It's not my favorite subject. I'm more English, social studies type person, and math, I got a C. I never get anything less than A's and B's, and so I was telling her, I was like, well, Mom, I'm just going to tell you now. I have a C on my progress report, but I'm working towards this math. And she was like, well, thanks for telling me. And there's nothing that I've never been able to go to her for. Like, it's not something that happens overnight. It's not a relationship that happens overnight. Things happen and shape you, and the only person you can turn to is your parent. And so that's why our relationship is so great. Like, I moved away and we talked 5-6 times a day. And they're like, you don't get tired of talking to your mom? And I'm like, no, like, who else am I supposed to talk to? And so, like, that's how it is with me, her, and my brother. Like, I can go to them for anything. As far as, say, if I need money or gas in my car, I can go to one of them because they're not going to tell me no. But I can go to either of them. And I think children's relationships with their parents helps them in the long run, because things you're taught as a child, you grow up doing that, and you're like, I would never do that when I get older, and then you see it, and you're actually like living it and doing it, and you're like, oh my gosh, my mom used to do this, and
yes,
so,
like, oh my gosh,
yes,
I become my mother. But
And
that structure that you're talking about that your mom provided in discipline and expectations is so important, because it's not, I think people think that kids just want to run wild and do all these things, and that might be their will, but truly what kids thrive on is that sense of safety, and with expectations and order comes safety that gives them a better sense of belonging with their family and a better sense in community. They the youth center one time did kind of an informal survey of with the kids of what they wanted to communicate their parents that they wanted them to know, and one of the biggest things is they wish that they'd been stronger disciplinarians. And so that was really interesting to me, because these were kids that had been in trouble and had been locked up, but they wished that they'd had basically more structure, because that provides safety.
And as a kid, some of my friends would be like, well, strict parents create sneaky kids. And I'm like, well, my mom isn't like super strict. She wasn't ruling us with an iron fist or anything like that. Like, we had the freedom to go hang with friends and stuff like that. But as far as having like boys spend the night and girls over like that, that was just not allowed. Those were things that she was not allowing at the house. Like, I could have sleepovers with my friends, but that's about it. But as far as everything else goes, like, I thank her for how she was towards us, because we're great individuals. Like, everything that I know now, I learned from my mom. And things that I knew I was not supposed to do, I learned from my brother. Like, you learn the things you're not supposed to do because of your older sibling. Like, say if you want to sneak out or something like that, I knew the punishment. I was like, okay, so everything I thought I wanted to do, he had already attempted it. So I knew what the punishment was going to be. So never did any of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And I think too, as being a single parent, because I've been a single parent all my life, there's more of an expectation, because the minute your child steps out of bounds or crosses a certain line or do something they're not supposed to, the first stigmatism is they were raised in a single parent home. I know people that have been raised by both parents and have turned out way worse than a single parent home. So I think as a single parent and as a mother, we have to work that much harder to make sure that our kids are okay. My kids have seen me struggle, but the one thing they haven't seen is me give up, because my daughter can attest to this, that I always tell them, no matter what, God will make a way for us. And they got so tired of hearing that when they were younger, but she can tell you now that looking back, God always made a way for us. I had to work crazy hours. I thank God that I had my mom and my stepdad that were there to take my kids to school, pick them up from school, and then when I got off of work, I was able to participate and go to those school programs. Both of my kids played sports. I was able to go watch them play those sports and everything. So I always instilled in my kids that I'm going to be there. I'm going to support you no matter what. Even when my daughter invited me to come tonight in support of her, I didn't think I would be doing this. That wasn't the support I thought I was going to be giving her. But I told her I'm so proud of her. You know, it's just an honor for her to even be asked to be a part of something like this. And so I told her today, I said, I'm so proud of you. I'm just going to be there as your moral support.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you.
You just said 15 minutes.
All right.
You're good to go on if you want.
Oh.
I just figured it out.
It's up to you guys.
No problem.
Oh, see? Natural.
Yeah.
You got no issue doing it.
I know. I'm just like, well, gosh. Okay, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Or are y'all ready to get up out of here?
I'm good.
I think, yeah, my thoughts are done for the week, but
Because
I
it's
can
Friday.
always talk, so you just tell me.
All right, so
Put
you
me
gotta
on the
wrap us up
spot.
then.
I know.
How do we close out?
However you want to. Yeah. Well,
Ready?
You can thank them for coming in tonight.
All right.
You know, say your name one more time,
Oh.
and then we can see you next time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, how they do on TV. You ready?
Yeah. Ready?
On you.
All right. This is Neeshuh Williams, and we are going, that's a wrap for the rest of the evening. So we will be back more with conversations. I'd like to thank my two guests, my wonderful mother, Mrs. Zelma Williams, and Mrs. Amy Hord. See you later, guys.